Okay, hello everybody. Okay, it's a nice day, if you're going to enjoy it later afternoon. So let me go from what I wanted to say. I want to say something about transformation in generally. I will focus maybe on 2 slides also on the example of Croatian Post, and then how technology enabled us to be better. Okay. In Croatia, we have the recession now for 6 years, but it's a crisis in the whole Europe. And what people are being thinking about lately is this a new normal situation? And I think it's closer to that. I don't believe that we will have times like we had 10 or 15 years ago. There's a distinction between transformation and restructuring. One consultant told me once that if a company has a lot of cash, it's profitable, then it's transformation. If it's a company that's in losses, then it's restructuring. But I would say that it's less painful if you go into a transformation process. So what we also try to do in a company is to get to one point where you cannot go back. It's difficult to get to that point. It's easy to say, yeah? Change before you have to. Usually you hear, okay, we have to do it. There's no alternative, but I don't agree with that. Good news, there's an alternative, because survival is optional. You don't have to survive. So you have always an alternative. You can do nothing. Unfortunately, what happens often, you don't get another chance. And the history is full of companies. Imagine yourself to be a CEO of a company that produces typing machines in the early 80s. If they haven't changed, they haven't survived today. So if you don't make some decisions, somebody else will make it on your behalf. And usually what happens, you don't like them. Okay. When we started the transformation process in Croatian Post, we studied and learned about different cases in whole Europe, and not about postal companies. It was about telecom companies, about utility companies. And we found one common point, and that's awareness about the need for change. Belgium is one extremely good example for me. What happened in Belgium? Sabena, the airline company, they went bankruptcy. And at that point of time, people understood, okay, a state-owned company can go into bankruptcy, because they didn't believe it until then. So that was the trigger that changed the mindset. And I think that building awareness and changing the culture of a company is the most important thing when you're going through changes. There's another good saying that says, habits eat good intentions for breakfast also. So it's not just about wanting to do something, but also to stick to it all the time. So how long does the transformation process last? I think that's not a good question. The right question should be, how much time has the company left? And for sure, you have to be faster than your competitor. You have to be better than them. Okay. Usually, those are 2 most important triggers for transformation: competition and technology development. Okay, in the Post, it's both, but technology development is more important. I remember 20 years ago when I got my first email, I was so thrilled, I was so excited, I got an email. And today, when I get a letter, it's not so often, unless it's a utility bill or a telecom bill, so I'm really excited, but it's not happening so often anymore. So the situation has totally changed. Like every other post, Croatian Post had the same issues. 80% of our revenues has a negative trend. And it's not just in Croatia. It's throughout the whole Europe, and it's worldwide, actually. Why? It's not because we are not efficient. It's because people aren't sending letters anymore. People are writing emails. And more, the business is moving into digital. Okay, and we have to accept it. We cannot ignore it, so we have to change. At that point of time, 2.5 years ago, we didn't have any business that will succeed. This big leather business. We had market liberalization, so we got competition. Okay, in Croatia it was not the situation. We had competition before. We had 65% of market share when we entered liberalization. I mean, it sounds stupid, but it was so. Usually when you go into liberalization, you have 100%, and then you slowly and steadily lose market share. We lost 35 before liberalization, and then this competition was legal. So it was, we couldn't make a benchmark with another postal operator in Europe because nothing like this happened anywhere before. So probably they will look what we have done in a few years if we succeed in what we are doing. And we had an inflexible cost structure. What I meant by this is that 70% of cost, usually in such big companies, are employees. And you have strong unions, and it's a difficult situation because you are losing revenues on a daily basis, and it's difficult to follow it with the cost structure. So we saw that there is no silver bullet, and we had five pillars of our strategy. And this is the only slide I will be talking about Croatian Post and the strategy. So I want to just show what can be done in 2 years. So we increased our market share from 66 to 71%, which is a unique example in any market liberalization in Europe, not just in the postal industry. We had a huge increase in process efficiency, and a lot of projects are currently taking place for business process improvement. We closed 100 postal offices. We decreased headcount for 12%, for 1,300 people. There are not so many companies in Croatia that employ 1,300 people. And that's just the headcount that we decreased in those 2 years. And more, we decreased salary costs for 20%. So salaries were 70% of our total revenues, of our total costs, and now they are less than 60, I think 58. We launched some new services, digital television. I don't know how familiar you are with this. And we're competing with telecoms, actually, because they have IP television, and we are competing directly with them. And we will launch a whole range of new services 2015. And we have a lot of plans with real estates. Like all other public companies, Croatian Post has also a lot of real estates on attractive locations, and we will try to monetize them in the future, but we need clear papers for that. And we have done a lot of job regarding this. So, it's a company of huge numbers, 9,300 employees, 1,000 post offices, 150,000 customers in post offices daily, and 500 million transactions yearly. So now I'm coming to how we're using GIS data. We have almost 3,000 vehicles, 800 of them being cars. And we travel 25 million kilometers yearly. Those are huge numbers. And we are spending more than 20 million kunas on fuel. So we have now implemented, we started with this project, and now the goal is, for my personal goal would be to have at least 10 to 50% of cost cutting for those costs in next year. So we will see what will happen, but I have big expectations from that project. And you can do a whole other range of things regarding this. I think that UPS had also one project with fleet management. In the States, you can always turn right, so you don't need a traffic light. So when they put those data and those variables into the